Yes.
Hello, I'm Harvey Tallman. This is my third installment on the survival tapes. Um, we're kind of short on time today. I could talk for 24 hours and wouldn't even come close to covering what I should cover. But for those of you who haven't been shooters, and for those of you who think you are shooters, I'm going to introduce you to some guns, and most of them are guns that I either highly approve of or completely disapprove of. Let's get some bullshit out of the way. This is the target I had to shoot to get my carry permit when I first moved down here from upstate New York. That's 50 rounds, rapid fire, without using the sights, point and shoot. And I had to load the 3 magazines as fast as I could, put them in the gun and discharge them as fast as I could. And that's the gun I used, and that is a Spanish Llama. It's a 2/3 size of an actual 45, and it's in 380. And I had a lot of people laugh at me when I bought it because they said, well, you shoot somebody with that, they'll take it away from you and beat you to death with it. Let's see if he's going to do that after I do that to him. Ain't going to happen. When it comes to shooting, 90% of all the people who own a handgun cannot hit a man-sized target at 30 feet. Under combat, of the 10 that can hit a man-sized target at 30 feet, when somebody's shooting back at them, only 1 can hit a man. Handguns were originally designed to be used at point blank and were originally designed as a last-ditch effort to stay alive. Now, I'll show you some stuff here. M1 carbine. This is sexy as all hell. And they ran around the battlefields of Europe and Africa Europe and South Pacific with these. And to be quite honest with you, at 30 feet, they're all right. At 50 feet, they're somewhat effective. At 100 yards, you better hit them 7 or 8 times, because in the Pacific, they found out that Japanese that were hit as many as 12 times were still coming at them with a samurai sword in banzai charges. They weren't drugged up and they weren't whiskeyed up or anything like that. This makes a great pistol cartridge, but as a rifle cartridge, it stinks. And in fact, for the longest time, you couldn't hunt deer with this because it won't kill a deer. Right? AR-15. This is the Vietnam War 20-round mags, which you can only put 18 rounds in. Useless piece of junk. You don't want it. You don't need it. And if you have one, I pity you. Don't rely on it. It's a piece of junk. Here, let's get this junk away from a real gun. Inside of 2 weeks, after the shit hits the fan, you won't be able to find enough ammunition to load a mag completely. After 4 weeks, you won't find a round more than 1 or 2. And in 2 months, you'll be using it to beat each other to death with like a baseball bat. This is a Russian Mosin Nagant. This is the Model 55 cut down version of the Moyes-Nagant 9130. Very accurate. I have no problems with it. Moyes, he really built a good rifle to start with. The original 91s were very accurate, but the 9130s, that were, those were the updated guns in the 30s. They kind of lost something in the translation. 5-round magazine. All right. German Mauser, surrendered at the end of World War II. This one is a Czechoslovakian, or not a Czechoslovakian, I can't think of the name of the country. Rebuild for their army after World War II.
Slovakian?
What?
Like Slavica?
No. After World War II to defend themselves against NATO. 8mm, 5-round. They're heavier than they should be. They're also somewhat subject to jamming when it comes to dirt and grime and grit. All right. Now, there are those of you who've been taught that Mauser and the Mauser receiver is the best thing that was ever built. It isn't. It's a great hunting gun, but as a military weapon, they stink. This is a British pattern 1914. We also built the pattern 1917, which is nothing more than a regraduated sight. And instead of being in 303 British, it's in 3006. And this is actually a very good rifle, very accurate. It's not as accurate as a number 4 or a number 3 Enfield. And out of the 3 million rifles that were built for the Brits, only 20,000 were ever used in combat. The rest of them were either given to ambulance drivers, guards in the rear, and that kind of thing. And over 2 million of them were in storage until the Second World War, where they were given to the Home Guard. All right. This is the number 4 Lee Enfield rifle, 10-shot detachable magazine. It is capable of hitting a target man size at 1,000 yards with iron sights. The most accurate military weapon ever built. It is idiot proof. It is very, very durable, more durable than a Mauser or anything else. And the Enfield rifling will last over 15,000 rounds at rapid fire. It is, in order for it to be accepted by the British, it had to fire a 10 rounds in a 6-inch circle at 200 yards, 10 rounds in a 1-foot circle at 300 yards, 8 rounds in the same size circle at 500 rounds, or at 500 yards. You can't beat it. The 303 cartridge has 1/3 less recoil than a 3006. And in the First World War, the Americans were going absolutely nuts because they were trying to figure out why the British could hang into a firefight and some of these guys were firing 300, 400, 500 rounds of ammunition and hitting their target. And the Americans, after 30 rounds, couldn't hit a steam locomotive at 50 feet because the recoil on the 30-06 was so heavy that it was just knocking these boys all over the place. And here's the problem. In the First World War, they discovered that America was spending more money to train troops to shoot than they were spending in ammunition being fired in combat. The ratio was about 4-1. So for every 4 rounds being fired out of a 03 for training purposes, they were firing 1 round on the battlefield. And the cost was enormous. So somebody finally decided that we're not going to train troops to be accurate anymore. We're going to give them a semi-automatic rifle, the cheapest one we can find, which was the M1 Garand, and we will give them 150 rounds to teach them how to load it, how to fire it, but not necessarily accurately, and we'll turn them loose on the battlefield with all the ammo they can carry, and they can just cover the battlefield with indiscriminate firepower. And that's basically how we shot up the German army. For every 1 round a German was firing at us, we were firing 1,000 rounds back at him. People don't realize it, but in the Second World War, America manufactured, this is with a B, not an M, 17 billion rounds of ammunition. The ammunition that they manufactured, they had so much ammo that at the time they could have killed every human being on the planet by shooting him 7 times. That's every man, woman, and child. The Germans discovered that with the Mauser, if you lined up 10 Jews and you stuck the barrel of the gun in the chest of the first Jew and you pulled the trigger, it would go through 6 to 7 Jews at a time. It was one method of them trying to come up with a means of economically killing the Jews. They would have done a hell of a lot better if they'd given the Jews the rifle and put them on the battlefield. They did very well during the First World War. Now, I do not like semi-automatic rifles, but this is an L1A1 FN, and it is not quite as accurate as an Enfield is, by a couple of percentage. It's in .308, and this rifle will maul anything on the battlefield except an Enfield. In Afghanistan, the U.S. Marine Corps was firing 172 tons of ammunition, small arms, every day. And they never had a body count. They don't even know if they hit anything. The only reason why they know they hit the ground is because the dust kicked up. That is, if you can afford an FN, get an FN. If you can find a number 4 Lee Enfield or a number 1 Mark III Enfield with a good barrel, in good condition, then buy that before you buy the FN. The FNs go for about $2,500. The Enfields go for $450. The .303 cartridge is superior to the .308 and is not quite as superior in distance and velocity as a .30-06, but are more accurate because you're shooting a gun with Enfield rifling as opposed to the stupid 4-land 4-groove rifling that America and everybody else uses. An Enfield is a land opposing a groove, whereas everybody else is shooting a rifling where a groove opposes a groove, the land opposes another land. All right, now, here we go. This is a VZ52 rifle. This is in 7.62 by 45. Same length case as an M16 round, the 5.56 or 223, whatever you want to call it. 10 round detachable magazine. And let me tell you something right now, if you, at full automatic, because of the gas system on the barrel, you could write your name on the target at 100 yards. There's no recoil. And it also has, come on, oh, I forgot that. Has its own bayonet. And these are rifles that should have taken over the Soviet Union's arsenal, but nobody in the Kremlin was smart enough to realize it. There were about 1 million of these made. About 100,000 were made in 7.62 by 39, the cartridge that goes into the AK-47 and the SKS. And show you a SKS. Come on. This is an SKS, and you might say it's the more accurate rifle than an AK-47. AK-47, you're lucky with a full magazine if you can hit a man at 250 meters. These are more accurate, and it is worth having if you can get your hands on one cheap enough. Now,
We got about 5 more minutes.
well, we're not even going to get close then.
So we can do a second segment on guns next Saturday?
I'm going to have to, because I can't even explain the next gun going up.
That's all right. So I would just have everything ready next week to set up. And then that way at 11 we can start doing it right away.
Now, this is a Model 70 Winchester, post 70 or post 64. The pre-64 rifles were junk. They're nothing more than a Mauser with a fancy stock on it. This has what's called a this has a special receiver. They made them in 458 and 375 H&H, and it will shoot right alongside a 30-06 to 500 yards with a 300 grain round nose flat base bullet at 2,500 feet per second. It'll take down an elephant, a rhino, a tiger. It'll take anything down in the world. receivers are drilled differently than a normal Model 70 post 64 receiver. They are the most accurate rifle that Winchester ever built between 1965 and 1972. After that, the accuracy of the gun went down. I have been using that gun for deer hunting since 1968 or 67 when I got it. Okay, this is an AR-15 round. That's an 8mm round.